Assam and West Bengal may not look like the center of India's national security map, but Assam and West Bengal sit beside one of the most sensitive geographic pressure points in the country. To understand how India protects its northeast, you have to begin with these two states, not with a missile launch, not with a fighter jet, not with a dramatic mountain battle, but with a narrow strip of land. On the map, it appears small, almost forgettable. A thin passage in northern West Bengal that connects mainland India to the northeast. This is the Siliguri Corridor. More commonly, it is known as India's chicken's neck, and the reason it matters is simple. Beyond this narrow land link lies an entire region of India. Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, Sikkim, and Assam itself. 8 northeastern states depend on access through a limited geographic opening. That does not mean the corridor can easily be cut off, and it does not mean India lacks options. India has military forces, air mobility, rail networks, road projects, internal security systems, and contingency planning. But geography still creates pressure. A wide route gives a country flexibility. A narrow one concentrates risk. And when a large frontier region depends on limited access, that access becomes part of the defense system. This is where border security becomes more than a fence or a patrol line. It becomes a question of movement. Can troops move fast enough? Can fuel and ammunition arrive on time? Can heavy equipment reach the right sector before a crisis grows? Can civilian supply chains keep functioning when pressure rises? Can the state reinforce the frontier without being slowed by terrain, weather, or disruption? These questions are not as dramatic as tanks or missiles. But in real military planning, they are just as important. Because a soldier on the border is only as strong as the route behind him. A mountain post is only useful if it can be supplied. A forward unit is only effective if reinforcements can reach it. That is the hidden logic behind Assam and West Bengal. They are not only places on a political map, they are part of the physical system that keeps India's northeast connected to the rest of the country. West Bengal matters because it holds the entrance. Assam matters because it supports movement inside the northeast. One is the narrow access point. The other is the interior platform. Together, they shape how India can defend, supply, and stabilize one of its most complex regions. This is why the story is not only about borders. It is about what lies behind the borders. Roads, railways, bridges, airfields, river crossings, security forces, administrative control, and the ability to respond before pressure turns into vulnerability. In many parts of the world, military strength is measured by weapons, aircraft, missiles, ships, armored vehicles. But in northeast India, the first question is more basic. Can power get there? That is why the Siliguri Corridor is not just a passage. It is a lifeline, and that is why any serious discussion of India's border security must begin with the geography of Assam and West Bengal. West Bengal is the first half of this strategic equation. For most people, the state is associated with Kolkata, politics, culture, trade, and its long border with Bangladesh. But from a security perspective, northern West Bengal has a different role. End quote. It is the doorway into northeast India. The Siliguri Corridor sits in this region, squeezed between several international boundaries and sensitive approaches. Nepal lies to the west, Bhutan lies to the north, Bangladesh lies to the south and east. Further above it, the route moves toward Sikkim and the Himalayan frontier. This is not normal geography. It is a compressed strategic space where roads, railways, borders, towns, rivers, and security concerns all converge. In a wide open region, military planners have room to maneuver. They can choose multiple routes, spread out logistics, and reduce pressure on any single line of movement. But in northern West Bengal, the map is tighter. Options exist, but they are more limited. That makes every major road, bridge, rail line, and transport node more important. A highway here is not just a civilian road. A railway is not just a railway. A bridge is not just concrete and steel. In peacetime, these systems move workers, goods, fuel, food, and passengers. In a crisis, they become the arteries that carry state power into the northeast. Troops move through them, Paramilitary units depend on them, convoys use them, supplies flow across them. Fuel, spare parts, engineering equipment, and medical support all rely on the same physical network. This is why West Bengal's role is not only territorial, it is logistical. It helps determine how quickly India can move from the mainland into its eastern frontier. And speed matters. A delayed convoy can weaken a forward position. A damaged bridge can slow reinforcement. A congested route can turn a local emergency into a wider security problem. In this region, time is not just time. Time is leverage. The border with Bangladesh adds another layer. This frontier is not an empty line across a desert. It runs through populated areas, riverine terrain, farmland, markets, legal crossings, informal routes, and communities that live close to the boundary. That makes security more complex. A border force here is not only watching for military movement, it must also manage smuggling, illegal crossings, trafficking routes, river movement, local tensions, and the everyday reality of people living near a sensitive boundary. This kind of border cannot be secured by one instrument alone. It requires patrols, fences, surveillance, intelligence, local policing, civil administration, and coordination between multiple agencies. That is why West Bengal connects internal security with national defense. If this region remains stable, monitored, and connected, India's access to the northeast becomes more resilient. If it faces disruption from flooding, unrest, sabotage, border pressure, or infrastructure strain, the consequences can travel far beyond the state itself. Because the northeast is not protected only at its outer edges, it is protected through the route that reaches it. West Bengal holds that route. It is not the whole defense system, but it is the gate through which the system must pass. And in strategy, the gate is often just as important as the fortress behind it. After West Bengal comes Assam. If West Bengal is the entrance to the northeast, Assam is the main platform inside it. This is where the geography changes from a narrow passage into a wider but more difficult operating space. Assam sits at the center of movement across the region. From here, roads, railways, airfields, and security networks connect toward Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura, and the eastern frontier. That makes Assam more than a northeastern state. It is a logistics hub. It is a staging area. It is a support base for movement deeper into the region. This matters because border defense does not happen only at the border. A force deployed near a sensitive frontier depends on everything behind it. Fuel, ammunition, food, vehicles, engineers, medical support, communications, and the ability to rotate or reinforce units when needed. Weapons may dominate headlines, but logistics decides endurance. A missile cannot matter if it cannot be positioned. A vehicle cannot move without fuel. A forward unit cannot hold ground forever if roads behind it fail. And a border sector becomes more vulnerable when support arrives too slowly. Assam's geography makes that challenge even more serious. The Brahmaputra River cuts across the state and shapes movement, settlements, flooding, bridges, roads, and military access. It is not just a line on the map, it is a physical force that affects how the region functions. During normal conditions, the river supports life and commerce. During difficult weather, it can complicate mobility. Flooding, erosion, limited crossings, and long distances can turn a simple route into a slower and more fragile one. Then come the hills, forests, monsoon conditions, landslide-prone roads, and remote districts. On a flat map, movement may look easy. On the ground, it is a contest against terrain. This is why Assam is both an asset and a challenge for India. It gives the country depth inside the northeast. It provides access toward multiple sensitive directions. It allows forces and supplies to move beyond the Siliguri Corridor and into the region's interior. But it also demands constant investment in infrastructure, resilience, and security coordination. A stronger bridge can shorten response time. A better road can reduce isolation. A reliable airfield can change how quickly troops arrive. A rail upgrade can increase the volume of supplies moving east. In this environment, infrastructure is not just development, it is deterrence. Because deterrence is not only about threatening retaliation, it is also about showing that pressure will not easily disrupt movement, supply, or control. If a region appears isolated, it invites pressure. If it is connected, supplied, and reinforced, pressure becomes harder to use. That is the strategic value of Assam. It turns access into reach. West Bengal keeps the door open. Assam helps India operate beyond that door. Together, they answer one of the most important questions in India's eastern security planning. Can the Northeast remain connected under pressure? That question matters because the region sits near multiple international borders and sensitive frontiers. Arunachal Pradesh faces the disputed boundary with China. Several northeastern states lie close to Myanmar. Bangladesh shapes the southern and western border environment. Bhutan and Nepal sit near the approach routes around the Siliguri region. This is not a simple border problem. It is a layered geography problem, and layered geography requires layered security. Military forces matter. Border forces matter. Police networks matter. Surveillance matters. Roads and railways matter. Airfields and bridges matter. Local administration matters. No single weapon system can solve this geography. The system itself has to work. That is why Assam and West Bengal are key to India's border security. They are not important because they are the most dramatic parts of the map. They are important because so much movement depends on them. One holds the narrow entrance. The other carries the interior weight. If these two states remain stable, connected, and resilient, India has more options in the Northeast. It can move faster, supply deeper, and respond with greater confidence. If the corridor is strained, or if the interior network slows, every frontier beyond it becomes harder to manage. This is why Assam and West Bengal deserve more attention in any serious discussion of India's security. They are not only election battlegrounds, they are not only administrative states, and they are not only names on the eastern side of the map. They sit at the point where geography, border management, military logistics, and national strategy come together. West Bengal matters because it holds the critical approach into the Northeast. The Siliguri Corridor may be narrow, but its importance is much larger than its size. It connects the Indian mainland to a region surrounded by complex borders and difficult terrain. Assam matters because it gives that connection depth. It helps turn access into movement. It supports the roads, railways, airfields, and supply routes that allow India to operate across the Northeast. Without West Bengal, the entrance becomes fragile. Without Assam, the interior becomes harder to support. Together, they form the structure behind India's eastern frontier. And that is the point most people miss. A country does not defend a border only at the border. It defends it through everything that allows the border to function: transport, infrastructure, local stability, supply chains, communications, and the ability to respond before pressure becomes crisis. In the Northeast, those systems run through Assam and West Bengal. So the real strength of this region is not measured only by soldiers, bases, or weapons. It is measured by whether India can keep the map connected. Can it move fast enough? Can it supply deep enough? Can it reinforce in time? Can it keep the corridor open and the interior stable when pressure rises? That is why this geography matters. Because in national security, some places are important not because they are always on the front line, but because the front line depends on them. Assam and West Bengal are exactly that. They are the hinge behind India's eastern defense system. And if that hinge holds, the Northeast remains connected, supplied, and defensible. But if it weakens, every challenge beyond it becomes harder to manage. So the lesson is simple. Border security is not only about where a country ends. It is about the roads behind that line, the bridges behind it, the airfields behind it, the rivers that shape it, the people who live near it, and the geography that decides whether power can arrive in time. Assam and West Bengal are not just states on the eastern side of India's map. They are the hinge that keeps the Northeast connected. And in national security, the most important position is not always the one closest to the threat. Sometimes it is the route that allows everything else to get there. That is why Assam and West Bengal are key to India's border security.